Well, we are back with another Steelers Crazy podcast, a sick production. I am JY. This is Michael Nicastro. We have a lot to talk about. Sammy, just roll it because we're just going to jump right into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast.
Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, and that definitely never gets old. So shout out to our guy Sammy over there holding it down on the graphics end. First off, how are you? Thursday night football last night. Obviously, we were on the bad side of things, and we'll dissect the game. But just how's life?
Man, I think it's easier to lose the night before a Friday than a Sunday and go into a Monday, which sucks anyways. So I think maybe emotions are a little better today because everybody's like, all right, at least it's Friday. I got the weekend coming up. Opposed to when you lose a Sunday game and you're just like, oh, I got to wake up and go to work with a Steelers loss. I have to talk to people in the kitchen. Yeah. That's the only thing they're going to talk about is Trubisky, Matt Canada, this and that. I'm trying to get work done. So I think I'm okay because it's Friday and excited about a weekend where we don't have to, jump on the Steelers as much as we normally would on a Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. Like the bounce back time is a lot more because it's like, oh, it's the weekend. Pitt football plays tomorrow. We'll try and just, let it get figured out. So obviously the Steelers took the loss on Thursday night football, which I thought everything about that they did with that. Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though I tweeted out, I think he jinxed us. He had the Minka Fitzpatrick on before the game, and that kind of came and backfired on the Steelers. None the way to guys so entertaining. So who would you say is to blame? I'll get your side on it, and then I'll speak my piece. The offense or the defense? There was, just from looking at it, you don't have to know much about football. I mean, the defense really didn't play that well, and the offense just came out stale in the second half. I was literally in bed by the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, both, because you just said it. Offense didn't play well. Defense came out stale. It's amazing that the Steelers have this challenge sometimes. They did it a lot last year where both sides of the ball can't click at the same time. The first game against the Bengals, obviously they pulled out the victory. Defense played with their hair on fire. Offense, not very good. Game 2 against the Patriots, defense, excellent. Really good game against Mac Jones and that group, aside from a few errors. Offense stunk, and Gunnar Olszewski fumbled that punt. So not even special teams could get it right that day. Yesterday, I actually thought the offense was okay. I thought they played good enough to win the football game. And you know what's ironic is I was tweeting about that last night, or not ironic, what's crazy, I'll use this word, which is more fitting for our platform. People were texting me about how the offense looks so good, and we were like celebrating this and throwing a freaking party. We're in the streets of the South Side, Carson Street, throwing up balloons because the offense scored 2 touchdowns. that should show you how porous the offense has been and how lowered our expectations are. So really both sides, but the star of the game last night was a Browns running back, Nick Chubb, who's an absolute animal, complete monster. They controlled the game through him. So a lot of the blame goes on the front seven there on defense. We'll talk to Chris Wormley about it next week, but I'm sure he's not happy. But really, no pressure on the quarterback, no ability to stop the run game. You're not going to win a football game with a lackluster offense that you knew going in was a lackluster offense when the defense plays like that. So both, man. I don't know. It's hard to pick just one.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And I literally just sent out a tweet right before we hopped on the podcast just to talk about, obviously, you've seen the George Pickens catch. And what's crazy about it is that I look at their roster last night. I'm like, there's so much young talent on this team. And it's just like, I know it's only week 3 going into week 4, but it's like, just sling the ball out there. I mean, you don't have to even know anything about football. If you have talented guys down there, hopefully Deontay Johnson can work on, he had another drop in a pivotal point in the game, which was really, I think, a momentum changer a little bit. But, what's got to give? We'll kind of go right into it. Tomlin said in the post-game presser a definite no on, is there going to be a change with, obviously I can't see them firing Matt Canada, week 3 in the season. As far as a quarterback change, I could see it. I think that every Pittsburgher can envision it, that Kenny Pickett is going to get, his time to be a starting quarterback this season. It's just when. And I think we just talked about it off air a little bit, is that when is it? We said the Jets, the Dolphins. What game is it going to be where he's QB1? And, there's some, I think that it's excitement, because it's like more of is Steeler land is what do we have to lose at this point?
I agree. I think I have a pretty good read on it at this point in terms of when Kenny Pickett is actually going to start a game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not going to be this week coming up against the Jets. I don't think it's going to be either the 2 weeks following that, because they play the Buffalo Bills. Shout out to Nello and Sammy. That's probably going to be ugly. And then Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks. So I don't think they want to get Kenny Pickett his first game action against those two leading Super Bowl contenders. The Bills are the favorite in the AFC. The Bucks are the betting favorites in the NFC. I think they are saving Kenny Pickett from this mess, opposed to the Steelers saving Kenny Pickett from saving them, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I think there are two sides of the coin. I would put him in now. I think you would put him in now, because either way, I think this is an 8-9, 9-8 football team. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. At this point, I don't even think they're going to make the playoffs. So go trial by fire with your young kid. He's the future. Listen, Joe Burrow had a really, really bad first season. Guys like Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, really, really, really bad first seasons. Josh Allen, you guys know, back there behind the scenes, did not have a good first season. But they learned a lot. They were able to get that real-time NFL experience. And, of course, they've matured, at least in the case of Burrow and Allen, where they're excellent quarterbacks now. So this theory that you can't put a rookie in to take lumps early on and he'll lose his confidence, I think is debunked a little bit by that notion. So those two things, one, the Steelers aren't going to play him these next 3 games. You could bank on that. But 2, yeah, I'm kind of with everybody else on Twitter sphere and you on here that why the heck not? What do you have to lose? At the end of the day, I'd rather lose with Pickett getting experience than lose with Trubisky, who's just a placeholder anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they signed him. I was just listening on the radio on my way home today, and they signed him for backup money. So, like, their ceiling on Mitch Trubisky isn't like I think he was brought in to be a bridge quarterback, but it's a high ceiling because it's like if he produces and comes out and has the Pro Bowl season that he once had, it's like cool. Yeah. But if not, they have Kenny, they have whatever they're doing with Mason. I really don't know there. But so kind of on the loss and the way that the season has started, how do the Steelers turn this around?
First of all, I want to mention, I know you're listening to the radio. I saw just a great point today. I'll shout his name out, Chris Mack. He's on The Fan. Sent out a tweet about why would the Steelers sign Mitch Trubisky when they essentially have a bridge quarterback in-house in Mason Rudolph. I know we don't love Mason Rudolph. Don't think he's necessarily the future of the team, obviously. Never really was. After seeing what he was able to do on the field. But how different is he than Mitch Trubisky? They could have taken that $5-6 million, improved the offensive line, maybe signed another linebacker to have more depth behind TJ Watt, which has been a serious problem right now. Malik Reed, obviously a new guy, but hasn't done anything since Watt's absence. But in terms of what they can do moving forward to fix things, just hope and pray TJ Watt has an earlier return than he's projected to.
Just pray.
Just pray, man. No, I'll say hope that Najee Harris performs as well as he did last night. He was a beast. He looked like a man possessed at times, was finding holes. He was decisive. His vision was good. And in part, a lot of reason that helped out was the offensive line. This offensive line has been way better than we thought. We thought coming into the season that right now in week 3, we'd all be saying, oh my gosh, Mitch Trubisky, shown potential, hasn't played bad, but he's getting killed by this offensive line. That was the narrative going into the season. Now it's completely flipped on that.
Something else.
It's the narrative now is, man, this offensive line has played well above expectations, and Mitch Trubisky and this offense still haven't been able to capitalize. I don't know how that changes. There's a rhythm that still needs to be developed, I guess, when you're a new quarterback on a new team. I said it last week. Look at guys like Matt Ryan struggling, Russell Wilson struggling. Of course, they're a little bit different than Mitch Trubisky ultimately, but there's a growing period there. I don't have a lot of confidence. You beat the Jets first and foremost. They need to do that, or they'll go 1-3 with the Bills and Bucks coming to town. So if you get to 2-2, find a way to split against the Bills and Bucks. You give yourself a chance. But at the end of the day, I'm just not very optimistic, man.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, I'm kind of, obviously, I'm always like the Steelers are winning the Super Bowl every year because, you know, we just like to talk stuff and it's all in good fun. But realistically,
and the guy on your shirt, maybe that's how we can fix it. If he walks out of the locker room, maybe that's how we can fix it.
My man Pat. He sent me this whole package. So I have a bunch of Steelers geared and stuff.
I wonder if the Steelers called Ben Roethlisberger and they were like, hey, we want you back. Come back, mentor Kenny. This is obviously an out of left field take. It's not
the last home game. Why not?
Yeah. To say, hey, listen, man, I think he's still got an itch to play. I mean, once again, people are going to crush us for even saying this.
Can you imagine watching what Brady's doing?
It's happened before. Brady retired, came back. Don't forget about Brett Favre, a guy who called it quits and then came back. It has happened. And Ben can't stay out of football. He's doing this podcast every week where he breaks down everything Steelers. I thought the Steelers upgraded a quarterback bringing in Mitch. They clearly didn't. Ben Roethlisberger of last year has been better than Mitch Trubisky of this year, and I never thought I would say that going into the season. They're not going to call him. He's not going to come out of retirement, but it's fun to talk about that because that's a sick shirt.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wanted to kind of say my piece on before we get into our last couple of topics here is that Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest coaches ever. I mean, love him, love everything about him. He stands for the standard is the standard. But when I listen to his post-game press conference and he says, we have to assess this, we have to watch film, and then he'll come back and say, we just have to win. It doesn't matter. Whatever we tell you, we just have to win. That's the end result, is everyone wants to win, right? When does he start being held accountable for making the decisions? Does he have that? Like, who is the ultimate, like, okay, like when things are really bad and the Steelers are 1-7, who is the person that is going to be, is it a collective? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I think that that's where we're heading. And that's what I think needs to be done, because someone needs to be held responsible for figuring out how to fix the problems. And it's like, it will work out. It will work out. Well, it hasn't.
Yeah, Matt Canada gets a bunch of blame, but you're right. He's the head coach. At the end of the day, he's Matt Canada's boss. If I'm doing a crappy job on this show, the Sick Podcast, and people are like, man, we got to hold Mike accountable for this, ultimately he'll probably get back to Anello and Sammy, and they'll have to hold us accountable for this. That's exactly what's going on in Steelers land. I agree. You can crush Matt Canada all you want, but Mike Tomlin is his boss, right? Even though he's not very involved offensively, he oversees those 3 phases of the football team because he's the head coach. He oversees offense, defense, and special teams, even if we know his specialty is defense. So we can, crap on Matt Canada all we want. Has he done a good job? No. But Mike Tomlin is the guy that continues to support him. He can make a change if he wanted. He could go to Mike Sullivan. He could go to the Rooneys and say, listen, we're done with Matt Canada. And guess what they do? They would listen, just like they listened to him when he brought in Brian Flores. Walked up to the Rooney, said, I want to hire this guy. He has that autonomy. He could walk in a room and say, I want to fire this guy, right? They might fight back a little bit, but as the guy who's there every day, running the ship, seeing these coaches in practice, he's going to have more knowledge on anything, right, on the field. So Yeah, I mean, you could blame Matt Canada all you want, but Mike Tomlin's ultimately responsible.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just what I like. When will we see changes? Because if it's just like, a bumpy road, trying to figure out this offense and getting everything to click on all cylinders, it's like, I get it. It's early. We're hitting the panic button, but we're not fully pressing it. We're only like halfway there. But when you get into the 5 losses and stuff like that, when you're, looking out of playoff contention that early in the season, I just really, I don't know, man. I definitely trust in Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest coaches ever, but I just think that, something needs to give, because you don't have to know a lot about football to watch the Steelers and go back and watch the games like you do and know that, that does not look good right now.
Well, we're doing it. We're holding them accountable right now. So
yeah.
what we talk about, we're doing. So yeah. I think more and more people are doing it. So what gives? At the end of the day, this is exactly
it's a tough job
needs to give. Yeah.
NFL, man, it's like, that's why, they get paid what they do. And that's why millions of people watch it every Sunday, Thursday, Monday. It's the greatest show on turf.
We only get 2 days off anymore. There's so much football.
Yeah, I know. Dude, with college football now, like, I think there will be like Fresno State will be playing at like 10 o'clock tonight. And it's just nice to always have it. In Pittsburgh today, it's actually chilly. I had to bust out the windbreaker in the morning.
I'm ready for it.
So get ready. Bring your mittens. But all right, yeah. So we kind of talked about it before, but that just to kind of come back to it, that George Pickens catch, I'm not saying this because I'm a Steelers fan, dude. I mean, that was like. That's like you put that on a poster and frame it.
It's sick. I mean, it's unbelievable. His
whole body's extended.
It's near impossible. I totally agree with that. But you ready for this?
No, you're going to tell me the Deontay Johnson catch.
It was better, and I'm whispering it, and we could agree to disagree here. Because he went up like a MJ Jordan logo, snagged it one-handed with his left hand, his non-dominant hand, tiptoed inbounds with a defender right behind him about to push him out of bounds. I'm whispering. Pickens' catch was great, but Deontay's was better.
Yeah.
I put a poll on Twitter last night. Who had the better catch, Pickens or Deontay? Pickens had about 70% to Deontay's 30%. People are living in the moment, man. It's easy to have a knee-jerk reaction.
I think that Deontay Johnson's catch, it was like something was overshadowed by it because like they didn't score on that driver.
Yeah.
I think they didn't score. Not that Pickens did, but I think that's why it was like there was so much crazy stuff that happened in that game that it was overshadowed.
And you know what else? They called it incomplete. So they called it incomplete.
That's
they
what
had
it
to
was.
go back, slow down the process a little bit. Everybody's going to a bathroom break because overtime's got people crazy.
That's
going to get some chips and pizza.
I felt like for 3 years of my life.
Yeah, exactly. So that's part of the reason. I'll take crap for it all day. I don't care. Deontay's was better than George.
Right.
We're celebrating Pickens. Listen, we're not arguing about good things. They're both amazing things.
Yes.
This is a good debate for both sides. But I'm now screaming Deontay's was better. No more whispering.
All right. Well, we're going to be wrapping it up here, but we have a new segment titled "Fill in the Blank," where you, Mr. Twitter, you ask the fans and the supporters to just ask some questions and you'll answer them. So you have them up?
Yep. So you see it right there. Awesome graphic. We asked for some fan engagement. I'll tag you guys if we talk about you on this, and hopefully you can subscribe at Sick Pod Steelers on Twitter.
More giveaways, more podcasts.
Yep, more giveaways. Steelers Crazy on YouTube. The Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy. Get in your head. The Sick Podcast Steelers
Networks, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Yep, we're right here. So thanks for participating in this. You're right. Finish this sentence, and I'm going to go to you last on this. I'll go to the fans first, so you could think about your answer. The Steelers can turn their season around if. All right, so Adam at A-Lance OG says, don't handcuff the quarterback and open the playbook. Maybe send Canada to Canada. Where have I heard that line before? I think it was just mentioned with our Canadian friends before we jumped on. So somebody in support of Mitch Trubisky, it sounds like. Adam is saying that the quarterback is handcuffed by Matt Canada.
Well,
and yeah, it kind of appeared that way for at least the first 2 games. Steel Smokin' at the A double says TJ comes back and the offense continues to improve. I'm with him on the first one. Maybe that's the only way is maybe put TJ out there in a sling. He might be better than Malik Reed was yesterday. Let's see. If they rename the stadium Heinz Field from Legra at
I agree with that one.
You think they go undefeated the rest of the way if they rename the stadium Heinz Field?
Dude,
maybe forever.
You've seen how the city rallied around Devlin Duck Hodges, a good friend of the podcast. And I mean, sometimes you just need the spark and heart. Everyone's like, heart only gets you so far. Heart wins championships. Don't let them tell you otherwise. Talent does, but I'm saying you have talent and heart, you can do anything.
Our buddy Aubrey Graham Cracker at D-Main Event 95 says if Thanos gets the Infinity Stones and snaps his fingers, he's basically looking at a miracle right here. He's bringing some superheroes into this, some Avengers and whatnot. This is my favorite answer. This will be the last one before I go to you. This is Melissa at Missy_NJ. She broke it down a little bit for us. She said, for the Steelers to turn their season around, she said it's not just one thing. If the defense gets better, that won't correct the quarterback offensive struggles and vice versa. New coordinators and position coaches, but still subpar results so far. The organization needs to get back to a winning culture and not a never had a losing season attitude. That's a baller answer right there. I totally agree. Melissa's hired. She can jump on the podcast next episode. We're ready. Break it down. It's pretty much what we talked about previously, is the fact that this culture is different. It's not about Super Bowls anymore. It's about winning seasons. And here in Pittsburgh, man, the land of the 6-time Super Bowl champions, they don't say the land of the over 500 seasons. Unfortunately, it's gotten to that point. Culture change is necessary. Thank you guys for your questions. What do you have to say?
I just felt like I sat at your TED Talk.
And that wasn't even mine. They helped me out. It's always good to have audience participation. Makes our
job
easy.
Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Oh, I love it. We got props coming in. It's like, whose line is it anyway? You get to see some whiskey in the background, something he needed to drink after that Steelers loss. Oh, they need you to put you in the game to turn it around? Is that what you're saying? Cade York?
Someone actually tweeted that a Browns fan on Twitter, something about this is Cade York's cousin. We're not related.
All right, you see it here first. That is not a Los Angeles Rams jersey. That's not.
How did the Steelers turn around the season?
Put you in.
Put in Kenny Pickett from the University of Pittsburgh. And why? Because who doesn't want it? Find one person who doesn't want it. There's maybe 2 people who don't want Kenny Pickett to be quarterbacking for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. Win, lose, or draw. Just give me some excitement at this point. Give me a throw downfield. Give me a. I can't get Mitch. Mitch did have that nice run for a touchdown. So I'm rooting for Mitch, man. I hope that he comes out and throws and puts up Patrick Mahomes numbers. But I'm saying, living realistically, it's time for Kenny Pickett, not the Jets following week.
You know what? It's like we were coordinated without even knowing it. Where's Pitt located?
Party on. Wow.
Party on Fifth Ave. That's the shirt I got on. That's the University of Pittsburgh. I didn't know he was going to throw a Pitt shirt on. This is Party on Fifth Ave on campus. Shout out Mac Miller and shout out Kenny Pickett, because look at that. As fate has it, sick podcast, Steelers crazy. Looks like we're wearing Kenny Pickett's roots on our chest. Pitt jersey, Party on Fifth Ave jersey. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Let's do it. All right. Well, we just want to thank everyone, and hopefully that the Steelers can get it together. We'll be back with another awesome episode of the Chris Wormley and Friends show. We have to talk about that front 7 and that defense. And yeah, man, just make sure you subscribe. This is Steelers Crazy for JY and Mike. We will see you next week. And it's still, here we go, Steelers. Another Steelers Crazy sick podcast. Sammy.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.